بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. We begin in the name of Allah and we send blessings and salutations on our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make today's talk beneficial for all of us, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it fruitful for all of us, inshallah. Tonight we have a really good and a really interesting topic, mashallah. Right when I announced it after Jummah, all the brothers started smiling and looking at me, subhanallah. It's like everyone's eyebrows went up and they were, all of a sudden, everyone seemed interested, subhanallah. I don't know what they were interested in because most of them were already married. Nevertheless, alhamdulillah, I'm so happy and I'm so happy to talk about this, not just because this is a very good topic, but because of the dilemma around it. It is so difficult, subhanallah, and we have in our community, not just in our community, but overall everywhere, subhanallah. Our young guys, young girls are coming of age, mashallah. And so many that I know personally are so good, mashallah. They're so good. They're so ready for marriage, mashallah. They're so ready to make that move. But because of the lack of resources and not having the right guidance, and because of so much misuse of information and misleading information and not the best approaches that are out there, we tend to fall into this trap. And what ends up happening is, instead of most of the people, what happens is they actually get disappointed. They actually get disappointed, and many actually end up stopping or even just giving up or even trying, subhanAllah. So tonight's program is very crucial, very good, mashallah, especially for the youngsters. And I have this brother Waqar, whom I've known for many, many years, mashallah. He started this system called Matchmaker's Lab. Basically, he will be talking about it, and he's going to talk about from a scientific, research-based perspective, inshallah. And he has a slide up, so inshallah you can see, you can ask questions, you can benefit from it, inshallah. And I'll be adding some points from an Islamic perspective, inshallah, as needed. But we'll start right away, get right to the program, inshallah. I want to have request Waqar to first start with a little bit of intro. What are we trying to accomplish tonight? And then we will start going into the presentation.
So tonight's topic is on Muslim matrimony, basically. Specifically, as it says on the slide, why is it so difficult to find a spouse in the modern age? Even though we have more tools and more technology to solve this problem than ever, fewer and fewer practicing Muslims are marrying early. They're choosing to marry later. Some are choosing, oddly enough, not to, just to put it in the back burner, until they get later on advanced in age. So that's why I've created this, and I want you guys to just look at it with an open mind. I'm going to try to orient you. The first few slides are to orient you as to how to approach this topic. With everything that we think about in life, all the problems we try to solve in life, we all come at them with a set of assumptions. Okay? So the beginning of this presentation is set to help you question some assumptions, especially from an Islamic perspective. And please, Imam Taqi, I'd like you to interrupt me wherever possible. So we're going to move on. Okay, so about 8 months ago, I started doing research about this entire industry that basically claims to help Muslims get married. This means apps, this means matchmakers, this means any solution that's on the market right now to help facilitate this matter, right? So That's how I approached it. Is I just want to figure out everything about it, all the way from the biggest apps to the smallest rishta aunties. Like, why is it falling apart? Right. So along this research, as I did this research, I found 5 very shocking facts. Okay. These facts are going to go completely against the grain, but they're all 100% backed by research. All right. So just before I begin, by the way, the research aligns with Islam. As we know now, like as science goes on, we're discovering that science is catching up to the wisdom of Islam, right? Like this is happening in so many sectors of knowledge, where just now, 1400 years later, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, this was right. This is the right way to approach it, right? And so it's like backing up the wisdom of our religion. So that's one thing that I noticed along the way. These are just 3 of the points. There's many more. The barrier between men and women, the healthy boundary between men and women, the presence of a third person, a witness in this process, and the negative effect of images, still images specifically, pictures. So I want to tell you guys something about the neurochemical cascade. Okay, I know it sounds like a very big word, but I'm going to draw you a picture. Anybody that knows me knows that I like to draw pictures for people. So this picture should explain to you what this problem is, okay, and the conundrum that we're facing. The neurochemical cascade refers to 2 slides facing each other, okay? On the top of both of these slides, there's a man on the top of one slide and there's a woman on the top of the other, okay? They're both facing each other. What does a cascade mean? A cascade basically means slide, meaning that once you push off at the top, everything is a chain reaction. Have you ever tried to stop in the middle of a slide? It's not pretty. So that's what this neurochemical cascade, it was actually coined by a Harvard professor, Arthur Brooks, a professor on happiness. Think about that. A professor on happiness in Harvard. So he's talking about this neurochemical cascade, and he says when a man and a woman consider each other for marriage, think of them like they're both on the top of a slide. The moment they push off, there's no turning back. And the brain, the excretions from your brain, they follow a cascade of chemicals come out, and one follows the other. It's not like one follows and you can stop it. One creates the other. It's a cascade. It's a slide. And that takes your brain to emotional attachment at the bottom of the slide. Okay? So people view this situation as if, oh, like, it's okay. I'm not getting emotionally attached. I'm at the top of the slide. What they don't realize is that a few inches ahead is a cascade. It seems far away, but once you're on the slippery slope, it's not too far. You're there in the matter of just very short time. And so this is the conundrum. These two need to get to know each other without getting close. If you notice, they're the furthest away that they possibly can be right now. And that's where they need to stay. Yet they need to figure out whether they're appropriate for each other for marriage. So before marriage, they need to stay on top of this cascade, this slide. And the ideal scenario is that they both go down this slide together after marriage. Okay? What's happening now is the guy's going first. Omar is on one side. He falls down the slide. But Aisha is still up there. So what happens? Omar's infatuated and she doesn't want to select him for marriage. So now he's, in a very bad situation, suffering, and vice versa. So when there is too much communication, especially poor communication before the marriage, in the assessment phase, that causes both parties or one party to go down the neurochemical cascade. So we talked about if one person goes down, what happens? What happens if both people go down before marriage? That becomes a sinful situation, right? Because now you're emotionally attached and you're not married. So that's the neurochemical cascade. This will explain to you guys basically what the problem is. That's all I'm doing here. I'm trying to explain to you what the problem is. Let me throw two verses of the Quran. Not throw, I think it's not appropriate, right? Throw. Let me give you two verses of the Quran. All right. These are again to question your assumptions. Okay. Verse 1, Surah 30, verse 21. And of his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility in them, and he placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought. Okay? So, seems simple enough, but what is Allah saying here? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying marriage is a net positive. Tranquility, love, mercy. You are his creation, and he's telling you marriage is a net positive for you. What is society saying nowadays? Marriage is expensive. Marriage is burdensome. Marriage is loss of freedom. Okay? Society changes. Society fluctuates. Society does not stay stable. The truth from the Quran is a stable, lasting truth. So, first of all, the reason I'm saying this, because I don't know if you've heard this talk here, people say, why should I get married? Like, marriage is like, it's so many responsibilities. I'm not going to have as much freedom. Now I have so much freedom. Now I can spend my own money, whatever it might be, right? So there's so many people saying that now. And what they're really not realizing is that who are you getting married for? You're not getting married to help somebody else, or you're actually helping yourself, as told to you by your creator. All right? If the marriages that you've seen do not end up in a tranquil, love, and merciful situation, then you need to make some adjustments. That's not marriage giving you the problems. That's you yourself that needs to make the adjustments, because your creator, the person, the being, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you, and he's telling you that this is something that will give you tranquility, love, and mercy. So that's one assumption. The second verse is Surah 5, verse 100. Say, not equal are the evil and the good, although the abundance of evil might impress you. So fear Allah, O you of understanding, that you may be successful. This verse is a fascinating verse, very relevant. Oh my God, to this day. It's really amazing how this verse is telling you what's popular does not indicate what's beneficial. Okay, what everybody is doing often actually is there could be very much evil in it. Do not be tricked by the popularity of something. I'm referring in this scenario, obviously within this topic, to the apps, right? There's so many apps right now that are the most popular. You hear everybody's on those apps. They are actually very psychologically damaging, poorly built. Their workflows are not meant to get you to a nikah. That is the point of this process, is to get to a marriage. All right. So that's the other assumption from the second verse. I feel like I'm just going on and on. Tawqir, would you like to say something? Like, it feels so okay. It feels very weird for Tawqir to be sitting here. This guy's such a talented speaker, and I'm sitting here yapping. Hey, any more compliments? Okay, more compliments? Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, so very weird to be sitting here next to a guy that's such a good speaker. And I'm here speaking. I'm here talking, and he's listening over here to me. Okay, just saying. All right, so fact one. Again, now I'm beginning the 5 facts. The 5 facts that are shocking. Okay, fact one. Too many choices destroy commitment. Okay, this is called the paradox of choice. And this was found over 20 years ago. But nobody talks about it. Everybody thinks the more choices you have, the better. Like if you have a house, if I tell you, hey, instead of choosing from 3 houses, I can make you select from 5 houses. You're like, okay, give me 10 houses, no problem. But the research shows that why does it destroy commitment? It's because it destroys decision making. The decision-making process is destroyed, obliterated, as Trump would say, to, commitment. So that's number one. And the experiment that we're talking about right now is the jam experiment. Okay, the jelly, what we call jelly, strawberry jelly, grape jelly. So researchers set up 2 tables at a grocery store. Table 1 had 24 flavors of jam. Table 2 had 6 flavors of jam. Okay? Then they basically sat there and meticulously noted what happened. What happened with these? How did the customers interact with this? Table 1, more people stopped and tasted, but comparatively, very few people actually committed to purchase. Okay? Table 2, I see the businessmen in the audience, very perked up right now. Table 2, 6 flavors of jam, slightly less people stopped, meaning if over there, 100 people stopped, here 80 people stopped. 10 times more people bought. Think about that. This is shocking if you think about it. Sometimes we just look at these experiments, we're like, oh, another experiment, because we're so exposed to all this information all the time, So 10 times more people bought. Think about that. So they did really, they went deep into this, and they realized that the more choices, the more confusion, the more fatigue, the more exhaustion. And the more complex the choice, the less you can handle decision making. Humans are the most complex things. There's nothing more complex than a human being. Think about it, 6 jams. Okay? The jams are simple. They're not complex at all. So humans, you can handle way less than that. All right? What's the solution to the first shocking fact? Slow down the process. And the rest of the facts will explain to you how to slow down the process. Fact 2, humans are bad predictors of who they will marry. Yes, all of you single people are terrible predictors of who you will marry. You do not know. Actually, the psychology says the people closest to you will know better than you who you will marry. So now what's the research behind this? Where did they find this? One of the big experiments that they did was they basically got a group of single people, and they said, describe for me who you're going to end up with. And these people started making their lists. Little did they know the researchers would hold on to their lists until those people got married, and then go and basically compare their list to the people they got married to. And they found there was no strong correlation. They were not good at predicting. It was like chance, 50-50. They were not good at predicting who they would end up with. What's the solution to this? This is important. I know this might sound like filter by practical deal break. No, this is very important, guys. Whenever you're on any app, filter by your practical deal breakers, not your preferences. What are practical deal breakers? Let me give you an example. Practical deal breaker is, do you want to have kids? Weirdly enough, some people don't want to have kids these days when they're getting married. So, do you want to have kids? That's a practical deal breaker. If you want to have kids, somebody doesn't, big one. When do you want to have kids? Some people want to wait 4 or 5 years. And some people want to have a child in 1 or 2 years because of the timing. That is a practical deal breaker. Ethnicity. What is ethnicity? Now, ethnicity becomes a practical deal breaker if your parents, especially Pakistanis especially, if your parents say, hey, you say, I'm okay with marrying a European or, whatever else ethnicity comes my way. I'm open to everybody. The problem is obviously you value what your parents think about the situation, right? So you should be having that conversation with them. But you cannot put in the platform that I'm okay with all the ethnicity. I'm open to everybody. And then you select somebody that's not your ethnicity, and then they have to fight an uphill battle against your parents, right? So speak with your parents before you select your preferences on all these platforms, right? Like that can be a real practical deal breaker. Okay, so what you do is you filter by your practical deal breakers, and then you meet the people who are in that end pool. But you meet them in a very specific way. The other facts will explain how. Your preferences, what are those? I like this color hair. I like this kind of degree. I like this height exactly. You know, like a lot of these things are preferences. They are, again, what did I say? You are a terrible predictor of who you will end up with. So leave that open. You don't know who you're going to select for marriage. You're right now, the list that you have, the research shows it's inaccurate. All right. Fact 3, digital profiles are a poor representation of a human being. And this has to do with the still image. A still image is the worst way you can actually assess somebody. What do people say? I want to see the pictures. First thing, I want to see the pictures. No, you should set up a meeting. Your communication with that person should be low quantity communication, but high quality, meaning face to face. So digital profiles are really, really poor representation of human beings. You know, we don't keep pictures, if you guys notice, in the masjid, right? We before we pray, a lot of times the imam says, hide your IDs. Again, the science is catching up to the wisdom. The still image is a canvas for projection of the human psyche. Okay, why did they study, or why did they worship stones of all things in ancient times? Think about it. There's so many other things you could worship. You could worship living things. But why was the preference towards worshiping stones? Because stones are still. They are a canvas for projection. Okay? Let me tell you what a projection is. You grow up, while you're growing up, your parent says, oh, if your shirt has wrinkles on it, that means you're uneducated. If you see wrinkles, somebody wearing wrinkled shirt, that means they're uneducated people. Now, you see a profile and the guy has a wrinkle on his shirt. You don't know this consciously, but you're automatically assuming he's uneducated, right? Now, that would be fine if you met him in person, because then his speech, his words could break that projection. It could break that projection. But with the still image, your mind fills in those blanks. There's nothing to break the projection, right? So that's why still images are actually very, very powerful, and you should keep them out of the process. The experiment behind this was that they got a bunch of group of people, again, single people, they showed them pictures, and then they told them to give us your attraction level to these pictures. Then they had them meet those same people that they saw pictures of. And there was no correlation between who they liked in person versus who they liked on the pictures. So think about that. Fact 3, digital profiles are poor. Well, that's what we're already doing. That's power of the image, projection, and dehumanization. This is what we spoke about so far. When you see a bunch of pictures and profiles in these platforms, this dehumanization part, your brain goes into consumer mode. I'm comparing products. These are not humans. Automatically it goes there. Solution to this is when you find somebody's profile, go on a platform that doesn't have a profile, number 1. Number 2, if you cannot avoid that, as soon as you find a profile you like, select just one and try to get on a Zoom call, video call with that person. Or have a supervisor with you, a wali or somebody that will come and supervise you meeting them in person, right? That's what you want to do. You don't want to keep spending time looking and swiping, and that is terrible for commitment. Fact 4, text and phone calls are terrible communication for marriage. That they give you the least amount of information, they waste the most amount of time. We text and phone call our family all this time, but for assessing a partner, this is a very low quality way of actually assessing somebody. It doesn't give you any information at all. And it will also, you're in danger of falling down that cascade, that slide, the more you prolong it with these things, text and phone calls. So what is bad for selection? High quantity of communication and low quality text and phone calls. What's good? Low quantity of communication and high quality. What's high quality? In person or virtually in person. These are high quality communication. And you want to keep that to a low quantity because, again, that cascade, the slide that we were talking about, too much communication leads to the neurochemical cascade. What's the solution? Ideal communication is a small number of face-to-face meetings, Zoom or in person. Okay? That's what it is. Ideally, you meet that person small number of times and you meet them face-to-face. That gives you the most information and keeps you the safest. This is what the research says. Again, how much does this align with Islam, right? Like, it's really amazing. Fact 5, the final fact. Considering multiple partners at the same time kills decision making. This is called simultaneously considering multiple people. Okay? When you simultaneously consider multiple people, your brain goes into short-term mode. What do I like right now? What's good right now? And it starts to compare those people with each other, not what you align with. You're like, I like his height, I like his job, you know, and like you're mixing, you're creating a Frankenstein in your head. And this is the same for men. I'm saying more about the women, but this is equally relevant for men. All of this for men and women. And it makes your brain goes into treating people like products. Consumer mode, again, with simultaneous comparison. Sequential means one by one. What does that do? It gets your brain to think long term. Long term, it makes you compare people with your alignment. What are you aligning with? That's what, when you do it one by one, you're suddenly now comparing them to what you align with, not with each other. And then it helps you treat them like human beings, not products. So it reduces that dehumanization. The solution: do not talk to more than one person at a time. This is a so many people do this. They talk one person, second person, third person, they're all considering them at the same time. No, this is not the way. This is not this is not going to get you to a decision. This is not going to get you to a marriage. It's going to get you to waste your time, which is what's happening on all these apps. Okay? Bonus fact. I hope you comment on this. It will not happen organically. It's so strange. When you ask about how are you going to earn money, oh, I'm going to go and do interviews. I'm going to go get an education. I'm going to do all this effort. The moment you say, how are you going to get married? Oh, God's plan, Allah's plan. Okay, yes, Allah's plan, yes, but you have to put effort. Step 1, just like anything else, step 1 is intention. Step 2 is you make the effort. Step 3 is you trust in Allah. Imagine if I asked you, how are you going to earn your rizq? And you're like, oh, God's plan. You trust in Allah after you make the effort, people. Come on. All right. So thank you so much. I yapped so much. Now, please.
Jazakumullah khair. I think he covered a lot of very good points. Waqar, would you be okay with taking some questions?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, so we'll get to some of the questions, and I think I can address. I can talk about a few things, especially in today's day and age. It feels like, from the first point that you've mentioned, it feels like parents are not really involved, and we live in an era where the divorce rate is really high, and parents have left it to their children. Not just leaving it to the children, but parents are kind of like helpless in front of the children, right? Oh, it's her decision or his decision. They made the decision. And when you leave your things, an important decision such as this one, which is a life decision, to your children thinking that they are mature enough, you are mistaken. They're just in the young adult prime age. They're not going to look at all the aspects and all of the qualities that are needed for a good spouse. Whereas a lot of youngsters, I see, when you ask them about marriage, what are you looking to? They don't know. They're blank. They're really blank. This can tell you that a lot of people who go to college, they don't know what their major is until the second or third year. Back then it was different. I wanted to become this, I want to do this. You already had your mindset at like 16, 17. Nowadays, Some of these youngsters going to college, 20, 21, 19, they still don't have any major selectors. Like, oh yeah, I'm figuring it out. So that doesn't lead you anywhere. And parents are just leaving the whole decision to the kids as well. And it's not their fault because we live in a society, you are kind of helpless in front of your kids. You're kind of helpless. But then you have to understand that the role of parents is not always to be their friend. As a father, as a mother, you can be their friend, but you are their protector before anything. You are their guardian before anything. You need to protect them from harm's way as well. It's okay to be a friend, there's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, it is also your responsibility. If they fall into the harm, the blame is on you because you were the mature, you were the adult here, right? You were the adult here. And when you look at the statistics, as he mentioned, when these youngsters go into, where do they go? A lot of times, nobody really wants to go. And all the scholars, everybody says that when you are looking for a spouse, you need to go for compatibility, right? You need to see a list of compatibility if you two are compatible with each other. Be honest. Youngsters nowadays, do they even think about that? Do they even consider that? Oh, when the right person will come, it will happen. Nothing will happen on its own. And the biggest approach that we are taking nowadays, especially when it comes to brothers, is social media. Find somebody, follow somebody, like somebody, and then you start trying to initiate a conversation, like you said, over a few pictures, and then you think that it's going to land you somewhere, where else it's not gonna. I don't remember many people who really met through digital platforms and got married. SubhanAllah. It rarely doesn't really happen. And that's why the divorce rates are so high. You get married and most of our decisions are being made on emotions. You got connected to someone, you started talking to someone, so you built that emotion, and that's it. You know how Waqar mentioned that slide? It's almost like we're starting from the bottom. We're trying to go up. We already made that emotion, and that's the only thing, our chemistry, we're matching. That's the only thing that we start from. And then we try to go up that slide. You're trying to go backwards, right? Trying to maintain marriage, but you don't have compatibility. Then it becomes so difficult. You go halfway, then you fall down. Then you go halfway again, then you fall down. You really can't make it to the top, subhanAllah. Right, so these are very important things, and I feel that, especially when it comes to youngsters, trust the process. And if you see someone potential, there are also proper ways of going about with it. There are proper ways of going about with it, and it doesn't just have to be you and her or he and you. Two individuals don't have to have that connection or at that understanding. They will have that connection, and it will be a stronger connection, especially if there's compatibility. And they will grow together, they will learn together, subhanAllah. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take some questions. Before quickly, so that you can ask these questions, Waqar has started something called Matchmaker's Lab. Can you tell us a little about what is it what are you doing?
Right. Okay. So this is a service that I started because I couldn't find any service that actually did it according to the research. So I did my research and I saw that there was about 30,000 single Muslims above the age of 21 in a 100-mile radius of here. And here we are trying to match. Like there's people matching in somebody in Europe and somebody in Canada, and like this, we need a service to get all these people that are looking, or at least a good chunk of them. And by the way, a lot of these big services, they have a few thousand people in their pool. And here we are sitting here from where I'm sitting, there's within a driving distance of 1 hour, there's tens of thousands. So we need somebody to get all these people on a platform and have them meet in a psychologically healthy and Islamically aligned way.
Or how are you different from other apps?
For example, we don't do digital profiles. when we match you, we put you directly on a Zoom call that we coordinate. I'm gonna bring you I'm gonna bring Omar in, Aisha in. I'm gonna introduce them to each other, and I'm gonna give them 10 questions, open-ended questions to answer because I already know their deal breakers. I only brought them together because I've looked at their practical deal breakers, not their preferences. So this QR code, what it does is leads you to a form. That form catches all of your practical deal breakers. What matters? I'm not trying to help people meet each other. I'm trying to get people married. And exactly what Brother Tawfir said. You can go to the apps and meet a bunch of people. You're not going to get married. It's not going to lead you to marriage. In fact, it might lead you away from marriage. So all of these 5 facts, I've used them in the workflow. One example of that's what I said.
Can you quickly run down the process?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So you fill out the form. Then I've hired a few very talented sisters to unload the sisters. I unload the brothers, right? And unload means we have a face-to-face Zoom meeting, and we talk about what you wrote on your form, and we try to clear up anything. We try to tell you, like, for example, I just I had just a brother the other day that I did a kickoff meeting with, and it was the same issue. He said, I'm open to everything. I'm open to everything, but get this. He said, she needs to be able to speak Urdu.
You're not open to it.
So
I don't know what they
exactly. So I was like, okay, so you're open to everybody, but really you're only open to Pakistan, India, right? Like,
it's true.
So you need to, and that's fine. I tell them that's okay. But imagine if you had signed up on some random app, and now you're trying to get to know, somebody who's Hispanic or somebody who's whatever else, who's Muslim, and that's fine. But then you connect with them, and then what? You're gonna then convince your parents, and then you're gonna realize, oh, they don't speak Urdu. We're gonna teach them Urdu. Difficult. I can barely speak it. So that's the point, so basically you fill out the form, you do the kickoff meeting with all the men do it with me, all the women do it with the sisters I've gotten on board, and then the next communication that you have with us is, hey, we found you a match. Get on this Zoom link. Let's schedule it, and when you click on, we schedule that, and then when you click on that, you are in that meeting with the matchmaker and the person we've matched you with for 10 minutes. Yeah, the potential, exactly. So we give you those research-backed questions, which are fun and easy to answer. It's just unfolding your personality. And then we end the meeting and we supervise it. We're there the whole time, but our camera's off, we're muted. And then we come in at 10 minutes, we say, okay, fine, you're done. Now, then after that, you reach out to us. We don't share contact information. We only share contact information if both parties give a green light afterwards. So you cannot contact, because imagine one party likes the other party, but this party doesn't want to proceed. In the apps, what happens is you have one person texting, oh, why aren't you answering? They're infatuated, right? Here, you don't have that. We verify everybody. We ask them to hold up their driver's license to confirm who they are. And we focus on Houston. That's another thing, right? Getting all these people in Houston so that we can increase the chances of people staying in their home city where their parents are, where they have roots, right? So
locally. And just so you know, I know Waqar, this is his local masjid. He comes to this masjid, I see him all the time. And second thing, I would not sit here and promote, and not just promote, or even introduce a matchmaking app to the community if I hadn't trusted him, if I had not known him. I know him for over 10 years. I know his family, I know his brothers, I know his uncles, I know his aunts. He can't run away. I know too much about him.
Actually, your dad, Shah Saab, taught me the Quran when I was 12, 13, and he's my son right there who's 13 right now. He's teaching him the Quran right now.
Yes, so I would not put somebody out there so mashallah is very trustable. This is local based. And one of the interesting thing he said, with a lot of things. This is a very personalized service, and I spoke to him. He's been talking this to me since 6 months, and I've been pushing it off because, to be honest with you, I've been pushing it off because I was hesitant because there's so many things like this out there. He can tell you how many times he texted me, he called me, and I probably didn't respond. And then he would just show up at the masjid. He's like, I'm not going to let you go. We got to talk. We got to talk. So subhanAllah, it's literally been 6 months. We've been talking about this, and I was very hesitant to, though the idea was obviously it's really there, but the actual process. Initially, 6 months ago, he talked about there's a charge as well, right? Of course, all these people are spending so much time. We talked about charge. I told him you're charging too much. This is not the way. I told him these are the things that I work with. When I was at a masjid before, we started a matchmaking service too because of the so much need, and it fell off and it wasn't the best thing. So I went through this multiple times. So I went through. We discussed kind of a lot of details, subhanallah. Now, Waqar, can you quickly? You said that. So they fill out the form, they meet you, and then after that, you schedule a meeting in the presence of the matchmaker. And up until now, there's no exchange of photos, there's no exchange of contact information. If in the meeting one person does not want to proceed, that's a cutoff. The other person does not know anything, they cannot contact them. There's nothing, you end the process right there. So only after that you would schedule them with another person, or there's like 2, 3 matches. Hey, I got 3 matches for you. How does that work?
Great question. So basically, we have a red light, yellow light, green light system. Okay, so after the first 10 minutes, we ask for the response, feedback response. Red light means I don't want to proceed with this person, meaning I can't imagine myself marrying this person, right? And yellow light means I need more information. And green light means I'm ready to exchange my contact information. So if it's a yellow light, which we encourage that you should try to meet each other more than once, right, before you decide yes or no, then we go on to a second and third 10-minute meeting. At the third meeting, if it goes there, then that's the point where it's either red light, meaning I don't want to continue, or green light, I am ready to exchange the contact information. If there's 2 green lights, we exchange the information. If there's any red lights at the end, we do not. And then you move on, we continue the search for your next match. And
How much is the charge?
$99 for 4 months. So you're basically, let me show you your experience.
So yes, it's not cheap,
Yeah.
but it is a very personalized service.
Right.
So what's
Yeah. So they basically, if you sign up today, we're not going to start matching you today. We're going, there's about a 25% chance you'll be selected for us to match you, because it all depends on your preferences. If you want a European person who speaks Urdu, that's a problem. I'm not going to charge you because I can't match you. So if I can't match you, what's the point? I'm not going to charge you. I'm only going to charge you if I see in the pool there's 2 possible matches for you, at least, right? And we'll search for 4 months, again, slowing down the process, bringing a third person into it, bringing the matchmaker into it. I'm applying all these principles that I've found, right? And it's very high touch. Like, it's very high touch. It's a in terms of it almost like a lot of these apps, I can understand why they don't do this, but to me it's very rewarding, because imagine 2 people's lives change, and then there's children from that. Like, it's just amazing to me.
amazing? So next question. Are you yourself involved? You're the one you're overseeing the whole process.
I'm overseeing the whole process. I'm doing all the hiring. I'm doing these 2 sisters that we've hired. I've interviewed them, and they're well known. They've been referred to me, and so I'm trying to get one more of my very trusted brothers to onboard the men, right? And then they're onboarding all the sisters. But I'm heavily involved.
So you're the rich auntie,
I'm the Rishta uncle. Yeah,
but much more advanced
Yeah,
using AI.
2.0, Rishta uncle 2.0. All right, I'm serious. I'm not playing around, people. Yes.
Okay, so let's open the floor if you have any questions. Yes. I'm going to pass you the mic because I think the question that you are asking, it's a very good question, and I think that people should.
Uh, So this meeting has lasted almost 50 minutes. As compared to this particular presentation, you mentioned that initial Zoom meetings will be held only for 10 minutes. 10 minutes sounds a lot, but it goes by really, really fast. So would you consider an extension to that number of minutes?
So this generation, I've done a lot of, you know what they say about whenever you're testing a product. When you're testing a product, you do this. When you're testing a product, you always do this where you ask people, okay, how did you? This generation is very anxious to get on the Zoom call with somebody they have not seen a picture of. So that's a big problem, and that's why I made it so that you can actually, if you think about it, if I give you a 10-minute conversation with a person that is already aligned with you in many ways, you can very easily. That's what I'm saying. High quality information, high quality communication. What is that? The research says high quality communication is when you meet somebody face to face. You get tons of conscious and subconscious information from that. So 10 minutes will be enough for you to say, all I'm asking, that first meeting, you just one question to yourself. Can I imagine myself ever marrying this person? 10 minutes to me gives you enough to answer that question. Not, I want to marry this person, or not, I don't like this person. Can I imagine marrying this person? This way, you don't waste anybody's time, right? This is an exhausting process, right, for people. You're trying to get married, and then I put you on Zoom call with somebody who in the first 3 minutes, you're like, man, I can't imagine myself marrying this person, right? So then I'm going to put you through 30 more minutes of that. Like that. And plus with this, everybody's just so scared of getting on a Zoom call.
You're so weird.
Yeah, so
That's understandable. I think, can I imagine myself with this person? So, but second and third, they would decide if they want to extend their meeting, because I think questions will arise after their first meeting, and because you've done the profile, you don't have a second profile list for the second meeting. I think you'll leave it open to them, right?
yeah. So basically, they say after the meeting, this is also a good part for them is that people don't like to reject other people directly.
Yeah, I think this is a very good thing you're doing. May Allah make it easy for you. And if there's any way any one of us can help, let us know. This is very good for our children. Yeah, that's
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
Okay. Let's try to make the questions brief, and let's try to make the answers brief as well, because we are already at 10:30. Yeah, we didn't realize we'd want to finish in about 10.
How many successful marriages have you had since you started?
Exactly 0. I started in the middle of Ramadan, 1 month ago. That's when I officially started. So that right now we're not even actively matching. What we're doing is we're building the pool. And because this process is so heavy in terms of human touch, we have to build the pool for the next 2 months before I can even start matching people. So I haven't actually even tried to match people yet. All I'm doing is doing the kickoff meetings, and I have 2 sisters doing the kickoff meetings, and still we're like booked, and we cannot do it fast enough. So that's the phase. We're in phase 1 right now. Phase 1 is simply building the pool. Phase 2 will be matching.
So like I said, before he even launched or started this project, this was about 6 months ago. We met in the masjid. Nothing. We talked about how we're going to, and I questioned him, how is it different, and how. So he just launched this not more than a month ago. But don't think that this is just a trial and error thing. I tested his patience over the last 6 months. I was not very easy to get a hold of. I've kept on pushing and ignoring because of the liability attached to it, and also because of the criticism and because of what we can face. I seen consistency in him. He was adamant, he was committed, he was consistent, subhanAllah. So, like I said, it's don't think he is giving a lot of time. He's giving a lot of time. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Do you have an age limit of any of the candidates?
No, it's 21 plus. No age limit.
Exactly.
Not the starting age is 21.
Assalamu alaikum. So my question is more so on the time process. Like you said, it's $99 for 4 months, but is it going to take like 4 months before the first conversation even happens? And if so, like, then there would be multiple like sessions, right? Like if you decide to go for it. So then are
So-
you like stuck on like a subscription until all 3 sessions or however many sessions continue?
Good question. It's 4 months and a minimum of 2 matches. So, for example, again, what a lot of these platforms are doing is that they're just throwing a match at you without any kind of proper alignment. So, what we do is we take our time, we search for the right person, and we don't give ourselves a time limit. Meaning, if you've had more than 2 matches in 4 months, then you have to pay the $99 one more time for us to continue to search. But if you've only had 1 match in the 4 months, then we still owe you that second match. So it's a minimum of 2 matches, no matter how long those 2 matches take. And then if there's more than 2 matches, then at 4 months we cut it off.
Let's take one.
Okay. You mentioned that assalamu alaikum, but you mentioned that y'all are in phase 1. So when do you start phase? When do you think you'll start phase 2? Inshallah?
Wa Islam 2020, summer of 2026, early June, end of May.
Okay.
That's when phase 2 begins.
And that's when the subscription will start in June once you launch.
Right, but only for the people that we select to match. Now, let's say you sign up, but I don't have at least 2 matches for you. I don't feel like I can get you at least 2 matches within about roughly 4 months. Then I'm not going to charge you for anything. You're going to sit in the pool until we find you. We determine that we can find you at least 2 solid matches. So there's literally no downside. You put your profile in, and then if somebody with your preferences is in the pool, that's when we charge. Well, other matchmakers, typically what they do is they just start charging you, and then what happens? When they don't have a good match, they throw it your way. So we want to avoid that situation. We only want to connect you and start the process with you if we determine that we can find you at least 2 matches.
If we can, we had 3 questions from the sisters. If we can have some from the brothers.
One question here.
Yes.
Regarding, you are saying that you always boy and girl. But what about the parents? We want to see the family background and parents, because sometimes parents have a say on that, that some boy are open to anything or girl is open to anything. So, but the parents have to filter it out, the family is good or something. How will you cater that?
So that's something that we just encourage everybody. We're face-to-face meeting with every single person that's coming in the pool, right? So when we're discussing their preferences, we're asking them, hey, like I mentioned, that one person, you want Urdu, and that person actually said it's because my parents, like I want to be able to speak to my parents. My parents don't speak that good. So I said, then that means you need to reduce your ethnicity, right? But the whole Zoom process, virtual meetings, it allows for any other person to be in the room. You can be in the room while they're meeting the other person, while they're meeting with us. It's like a public supervised thing. So the parents can be as involved as they want to be, but we cannot force that. That's the problem. We cannot force it. At the end of the day, they have to decide to include their parents.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that you're right. But some people are open to, like for the, if you're not a love marriage, then you're open to, if things are, as you said, filtered. So the parents also, because some people, live together also, or they support their son or, daughter. So I will say, how will you, you're saying 10 minutes, you want boy and girl only, and they will ask surely that is primary thing. But the secondary is very important also, that the, parents should be involved somehow in this process,
So there's been multiple sisters that have said that, can I include my wali in this process? And I tell them, of course, have your wali sitting right there whenever we bring you into the meeting. Schedule a time when your wali can be present. And actually, your wali doesn't even need to be on screen, right? He could be sitting right next to you while you're meeting with the other person. So you can, and for example, with Desis, there's the joint family situation, right? Where they live with their parents. I want to live with my parents after I get married. That is a practical deal breaker. So we ask the sisters, are you okay with living with in-laws? That's a part of their form. If they're not okay, we don't have them meet. We don't put them in front of each other. Otherwise, that causes all sorts of issues where they like each other, but then they can't get married.
Two quick questions. One of them, do you have any process in place to verify the person?
The way we verify is we ask them to hold up their ID, and we check that ID, and we make sure it kind of matches their face and that they live here in the States. What I say is, I call it the gated community. Okay? If there's two communities, one is gated and the other's not, and you're a scammer or a thief, gates aren't that solid. You can rob a store with a house that's in a gated community, but you're not going to choose to. So no other platforms are having you meet the matchmaker face to face, who's going to talk to you for 10, 15, 20 minutes and ask you about your form and then ask you to hold up your ID. So we are the gated community, basically. Like there's barriers to get in. And anybody who wants to scam or anybody who's not who they say they are, we cannot guarantee this. But all we can guarantee is that we are gated. So it kind of repels people who want to take advantage or who are scammers or who are lying. The research also shows humans will lie when they're anonymous, when they can hide behind a profile. Humans will lie. When they have to meet another human face to face, they're much less likely to lie. Or they'll just avoid that interaction.
Second question is the 10 question you were talking about. Are those spontaneous or you guys share them before?
We can share that before. That is, I'll tell you one of the questions. It's like, if you got a $100,000 bonus from work tomorrow, how would you spend it? So that question, it seems very light and fun, but actually it shows how you handle money. It shows how mature you are with your decisions. And it gets a conversation going that's actually very important. So I like to make it spontaneous because it's very easy to answer, right? Like you don't want calculates. Everybody's going to ask ChatGPT what to answer if I give before.
I'm going to ask the last question then. Do you run a background check on either side?
No, so once we start the matching actively, that's something that I'm going to ask I'm going to allow for somebody to pay for, because we're just going to pay for that separately. But I say right now we don't do background checks because
You would verify profession, verify criminal history, those types of things you're not doing now.
I would highly recommend doing that. We do not do that in the included price.
Does anybody have any other questions? Yes.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. Yeah. So this is something that I do. You're talking about a background check, basically, right? That this. Yeah. Absolutely. So you know what? The main thing that the reason I started this, I'm speaking to brother, talked to you so much about this. I actually want to funnel everybody that I match into premarital counseling. And premarital counseling brings up a lot of these things, uncomfortable subjects, things that you need to discuss, things that are very important for people before marriage. So that's something that I really, really feel like is vital in the process. And the background check, the actual official background check, I'm planning on having that as an option, right? But you can get that anywhere. That's so easy to get. costs like $30 or $40. You can background check anybody at any time. So I always, my attitude towards it is I highly encourage background checks. But once you take on the burden of background checking, it becomes a little bit of a liability issue, and it becomes there's a host of other issues involved, and I have to charge more for it. So I say, and you, for example, if you want to do a simple background check, it's cheaper than if you want to do a really thorough one. So you can choose whatever you want to do, and I highly encourage you to do it.
Jazakallah khair. We will conclude with this, inshallah. Brother Waqar is going to be outside. He'll be hanging out for another 30, 40 minutes, inshallah. So if you need to speak to him in person, more than welcome to just grab him outside in the patio. We have some pizza outside, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it beneficial. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow the brothers who are involved in this to keep them sincere and to truly continue with the intention that they start with, inshallah, and to make it fruitful for all of the communities to come. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Guys, stop running around in the masjid. Test, test.